or credit, no credit, excuse me, when we don't really know even what next week will bring. The future is so uncertain. What you might select next week might be very different from what you would select the following week. And so we really felt that this would take the pressure off of students and put students in an equal position. Also, as we were reaching out to other law schools, we found out that the vast majority of law schools have turned to this mandatory credit, no credit system. And so we thought in terms of helping with career development and in terms of what similarly situated students will have on this transcript, this really kind of evens the playing field in terms of placing you in a similar situation to other students who might be getting MLS or similar degrees at other institutions, so that you don't have to explain why you took a grade in one class but you took credit in another class. And also, you know, kind of the presumption is probably from employers that if you took a grade in one class and didn't take a grade in another class, that probably means it would have been a bad grade. So those are just some of the issues that the faculty considered. They took it very, very seriously. They debated for over 3 hours, and still they're still actively debating some outstanding issues that we're working through. We hope to send out an email to the students soon with the details of that policy. The reason we haven't sent it yet is because, as I mentioned, the faculty are still debating two things in particular. They're debating whether there'll be such a thing as shadow grades, this idea that even though you get credit or no credit, the faculty member could still tell you, oh, you would have gotten a B or you would have gotten a C. And so they're actively debating that. They're also thinking about awards and whether awards should be granted. So that's the delay on getting that email out. But as soon as we get those answers to those questions, you will be hearing from us. And in the meantime, obviously, we're here to answer questions, anything that you may have. So that's my big update. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dean Reyes Aguilar. Thanks.
Great. Thank you, Dean Kronk Warner. The things that I want to talk to you about are the financial resources that are available to you as we go through the COVID-19 response. That includes having gone to online classes for the remainder of this semester, as well as the online class decision that the university has made for summer school. This may affect, and then obviously associated with COVID-19 are the employment circumstances that many of you are facing, whether it be possibly being furloughed or having a spouse or other support resource in your homes that is who are not able to contribute in the way that they have in the past. I want to make sure that you are aware of resources, both short-term resources that can get cash in your hands fairly quickly, and other maybe larger amounts that you may want to consider. They may not be your first choice in where you turn, but if it's a question of having an ability to make rent or mortgage or purchasing food, these are things that you should know are available to you over the next while. I did post this information on the SJQ scene, which our communications staff created as a one-stop location for notices and updates with what's going on in the law school. I'd encourage you to kind of open those pages up or save them and then open up towards the end of the week so you can see what's going on within the law school. This financial information was on the post for last Friday, March 27th. I will, after we're done, email it to you. I noticed that in today's posting that they had removed it to make room for the most recent posting. So I'll send this out to you all later today so you have this in your mailboxes. What I've been trying to avoid doing is sending out emails because I know everybody, including myself, is getting inundated, but I think this can be helpful information. The first bit of information is we do have a financial aid program manager. The new person has started. She's been working with us for the last couple of weeks. Her name is Melanie Evans. In the email you'll get, there is a link for you if you would like to set up a Zoom meeting with her if you want to talk about your financial aid or make requests for additional loan resources, things like that. She is maintaining the office hours that she had within the law school as far as scheduling her Zoom meetings. I know many of you work and they may not coordinate with your work schedule. It's on Wednesdays from 9 to 3. If you find that that time doesn't work for you to meet with her virtually, just shoot me an email and I'll coordinate with you an opportunity to meet with her. You can also just email her and then try and set up a different time during the week for you to be able to have a conversation with her if you need to. In terms of short-term loans, quick loans, there's 2 emergency loan programs now at the university. One is administered through the university's student government, ASUU. There are $500 loans available with no interest, and it's a 90-day payment. The short term is that it needs to be less than 3 months when you repay. Then there's College of Law emergency loans. I talked about these actually during orientation. What has changed during this COVID circumstance is with the university having so many staff working remotely, there's actually not a way to get hand-drawn checks picked up if you want those checks. So the university set up a system so that all departments that have loan programs like ours can use the university's Office of Financial Aid to process those emergency loan requests, and the funds will be dispersed through the direct deposit system set up through your tuition payment or refunds. So those loans are at amounts up to $1,000. Another one I want to give you a heads up on is we just put in a grant request through an organization called Access Lex. They are providing some additional emergency loan funds that will give us some more flexibility in regard to possibly being able to increase the amount that students may be able to borrow and have some flexibility on repayment dates. And so once it's confirmed that we get that grant award, I'll email you some instructions on how to make requests for that funding. The other things are the longer term loan programs that exist, I want to remind you of. I know a little over half of you have filed your FAFSA or the paperwork that needs to be filed to qualify for loans in this semester, and some of you are already receiving loans. I know there's about 5 of you who haven't completed the free application for federal student aid or the FAFSA form online. It's not like you need one more thing to do, but just so you have a safety net, a financial safety net, I would encourage you to fill that FAFSA form for the current academic year so that if anything happens between now and the end of summer school, you will have federal student loans as a potential resource to turn to, and you won't have to wait for the FAFSA to be processed and then have the university process that. You can get into the queue simply by processing this loan. Just turning it in does not mean you have to borrow money. For those of you who have completed the FAFSA and are in the system, know that a number of you still have loan eligibility for this spring semester. In the email you'll get, it'll talk about the timeline in which you must move to make sure that you access those funds if you need them before the end of the semester. So, but be aware that the vast majority are eligible for more student loan funding through the end of the semester. And also be aware that those loans, while they have to be repaid, you have a 6-month grace period after graduation before repayment starts. And then for summer school, one of the things you need to be aware of is the packaging you received for fall and spring semester was all part of a financial aid package that is created in the summer when you're getting your financial aid processed. Summer school from the university's perspective is a separate term altogether, and so you have to reapply for financial aid for summer school. So know that since you do have mandatory summer school to finish up your MLS program, you need to submit the summer school loan application. The links and information for that will be on the website. I just want to make sure you had a heads up for what you would be needing to do to get financial aid. Then the last thing I want to mention is many of you have been, I'm sure, keeping tabs of the federal coronavirus stimulus bill. Keep in mind that that's going to be resources that may be available or will be available to you. Every adult will get $1,200. I think this doesn't apply to you, but just to make sure you are aware of it, that and this happens to students. For students who are claimed as tax dependents by their parents, even if they are over the age of 18, they will not qualify for the $1,200 payment through the stimulus bill because they are considered a dependent of their parents. And so be aware of that. I don't think that's your situation, but that is some of the language in the bill. Included in the email I'll send you is a really handy web link for FAQs on the stimulus bill and how it applies to student loans, repayments. And if any of you have other student loans that you currently are in repayment on, the interest rate is supposed to stop accruing for the period between now and September 30th, and that happens automatically. You don't have to do anything. And loan payments are suspended until September 30th on those particular loans, so be aware of that. And once we're all done, I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Great, thank you, Dean Aguilar.
Sure.
Angela, did you have anything to share with the students?
Not that I can think of right now. It's an MLS weekend, so hopefully you guys are staying on top of your classes and that all of your professors have reached out to you, and anything's unclear about what's going to happen or proceed for summer semester, reach out to me. But summer semester will begin, May 15th, 16th. That will be the first weekend of classes for summer.
Great, thank you, Angela. Dean Marshall?
Hi, everybody. I wish I could see your faces. I wish I could see the MLS cohort's faces. It's hard to be away from everybody at this time. And I just wanted to respond to Ethan. I saw your note here that you're unhappy about the credit, no credit being mandatory. That was the subject of a great debate, absolutely. And the administration endeavored to get a very current student poll on where everybody stood when we were told that the faculty would be reconsidering mandatory versus optional credit, no credit. I hope you were able to participate in that poll. It was, we did receive some representative response rate there. It was 77% of all of the students who responded. 229 out of 299 students responded, which was very, very significant compared to what the SBA petition, which was about 41% response rate was. So with that in mind, the actual results of the vote were 59% in favor of mandatory credit, no credit, and 41% in favor of optional credit, no credit. Merits of either choice notwithstanding, one of the things that we talked to the faculty about quite extensively was the fact that the students had already been going down a different path. As you know, the U policy came out on the 20th, and then the College of Law policy. The initial iteration of the College of Law policy came out on the 23rd. So there was about a week period that all of the students were operating under one assumption. And then now we've changed course. So that is something that the faculty and the administration weighed very heavily. We're cognizant of how this disruption and change of course probably is really affecting people. I still get emails about it. So when Dean Kronk says that, you know, that we're aware of how difficult this is, we really are aware, and our hearts are heavy about that. I will say that I've been very impressed with the feedback from students in weighing the decision. They were not just thinking of themselves, they were actually thinking about different camps within the student body. We have a very diverse student body, even within this cohort. I received a note from Lacey, your classmate, that we have a brand new baby, MLS baby in this cohort, and that was a little bit of a ray of sunshine in all of this shaky change that we've got going on. But in addition to newborns, we've got a lot of barriers for people at the law school. We've got some students with 5 kids at home. We've got students with disabilities, students with major health issues, first-generation students, students with unstable home environments. And just this week, I heard from some students who are facing active military duty. And so these are all very real, very shaky circumstances that everybody is kind of grappling with right now. So we're aware of it. We hear you on all of it. And I just want to speak for a couple of moments about some of the resources that are available at this time. ADA resources. So the subject of accommodations has come up quite a bit during this time, and I just want you to know that I am in regular communication with the Center for Disability and Access, who have now taken all of their in-person appointments to the virtual realm, whether it's on Teams or on Zoom. So if any of you need to update your accommodations, reach out to me, we'll get that taken care of. And it's actually a much more truncated process than the in-person process. It's kind of a silver lining in this whole thing, is the virtual appointments are a little bit quicker. We would obviously, the College of Law would still need you to fill out for your semester when your specific exams are, so that we can get everything administrated in the right way. But that process is still in place. If you have a standing ADA accommodation already on record with me, still send me your final exam schedule once that's all finalized, and we'll get everything taken care of. By way of emotional support, the dean is absolutely correct. Our embedded counselor is still taking appointments. She, if there are crisis situations, there are still crisis lines and in-person stabilization appointments available for anybody who may need it. Just today, if you haven't taken a look at the digest today, I've been working with our embedded counselor, Lelani, to come up with a mental health care package for students, pertinent specifically to coping with COVID-19. So check that out in today's Daily Digest. There's also a host of other resources within that document that Luana gathered up for us specifically. So there are many ways to support each other, but there are also ways that we can support ourselves by looking at some of these resources. If any of you have questions about health insurance or the active military call-up that's impending, I have up-to-date information from the Director of Veterans Affairs, Paul Morgan, and I also have up-to-date information from Carrie Hill with respect to extended coverage for graduates. So just reach out to me on any of those fronts if you have questions about any of those things.
Great, thank you so much, Dean Marshall. Jaclyn, what's the news on the job front?
Well, first I want to just let you guys look at my roots. They are terrible, and I'm very upset to be on this video conferencing with you and to be looking at them. So just putting that out there. Maybe your guys's are as bad as mine. I don't know. I can't see you. I just want you to know we miss you. It's been a long time since I've seen some of you, probably since November. But we want you to know that we're thinking of you, and I want to echo the sentiments of our Deans Kronk, Warner, Marshall, and Aguilar, that we are here to serve you in any way that we can. And specifically, just to talk a little bit about the career resources that are continually available to you. As you can see, we've got Dean Thompson on this video chat as well, and we can answer any questions that you might have about the employment front. But I understand that some of you may be experiencing some challenges related to your employment. Maybe some of you are experiencing reduced hours or furloughs, or in some cases, worst case scenario, being let go from current full-time employment. And so I just want to speak on behalf of our team in the Career Development Office that we are here for you. Just a few reminders of some of the services that we offer. First, we have individualized counseling available for every student at the law school. You are welcome to contact any one of us in CDO, myself or Arturo. Also, our career counselor Heidi is also on staff to assist in any way. If you want to talk about your career path, or maybe you've absolutely had a change in your employment status, or have had a spouse or significant other or family member who you rely on for support, we are there to help them as well. So please do not hesitate to reach out to us if you want to speak about anything that is concerning you, your health, your well-being, or careers, we're here to help. Secondly, and one of the things we're most excited to talk to you about is that we are in the process of rolling out, hopefully in the next couple weeks, an MLS job board. Those will be highlighting positions that are unique to you and your skills that you're learning. You'll probably see some contract analyst positions on there, and I know we've got a lot of students that are just finishing their contracts classes. Heaven help you all. That was a fun class, but we have a lot of interesting positions that we'll be posting on there. And so if you are looking for employment, we're going to roll that out very soon, and you'll be receiving access to those accounts, and you can look at the job postings there. If you decide to apply to any of those, we are here to help you with resumes, cover letters, any other application materials that you might need. And so just keep us updated and let us know where you might need that help. And third and last, we will continue to concentrate on programming that is relevant to the MLS program. Because this time is really challenging and things have been changing quite a bit, we are really interested in knowing what you guys feel would be valuable at this time, what you'd like to see in our programming, what topics that we can focus on that will best help you succeed in this program and after you graduate. So I'm going to send out a survey to you in the coming week. Please take a minute to fill out and indicate any topics that you'd like to have CDO focus on in our ongoing programming during the rest of the semester and into the summer. So those are just a few resources that we can help you with. We're here to help. Please let us know if you need anything at all. We miss you, and we hope that you'll reach out to us soon. Thanks.
Dean Thompson, anything to add?
Yeah, and I'll be brief. So Jaclyn really covered the gamut of everything, and she really runs our office in terms of how it works with those of you in the MLS program. But I just want to reemphasize that the entire office is available to you and actively available, and we're interested in engaging with you and having your ideas. As you learn about shifts in your personal situation, please keep us aware. That will be helpful. And I think it's evident by everyone who's on this call. We are giving just as much attention to the MLS students as the JDs. It's an equivalent level of focus, and you should not hesitate to reach out for resources, again, either to myself or Jaclyn or anyone else on the team. And if we don't have an answer, we'll find the person who does. With that, I'm going to go ahead back to mute.
Great, thank you to everybody. So now I'm going to go down to the Q&A. So again, at the bottom of your screen, you should see a button that says Q&A. If you please type your questions there, I will serve as our question asker and try to answer as many questions as we can. Also, if there's a question that somebody else has asked and you kind of want to have it move up the list, you can like it, and then that will move it up the list. So the first question I have here is, how will the credit, no credit impact my ability to apply to a doctoral program? I thought students had the option to select credit, no credit. So I'll start off with the second point. So the College of Law and the School of Medicine, as two professional schools that have separate accrediting bodies. So we're accredited by the American Bar Association. Both of us, through past historical developments, had negotiated with the university the ability to have separate grading policies. So in conversations with the university, as I believe Dean Marshall kind of explained the timeline, that became increasingly clear that the law school would need to move in the mandatory credit, no credit direction. It also became increasingly clear that the majority of other law schools were taking the same track, and especially our peers and others in the region that you could be competing against for grades were taking the same track. As Dean Marshall explained, there were numerous arguments that were considered on both sides of the issue, and ultimately the faculty decided to go the mandatory credit, no credit route. The School of Medicine is mandatory pass-fail, so the professional schools have gone the mandatory route. In terms of how credit, no credit may impact your ability to apply to a doctoral program, I'll start off, and then maybe Dean Aguilar might have some thoughts, or somebody else might have some thoughts on this as well. My understanding is everyone around the country, with a very, very small handful of exceptions, is doing some sort of grade change in policy this semester. So in terms of not having grades, I think that many institutions will be very understanding of that. We certainly will. I mean, on the other side of it, we're going to have students who are going to be applying to us for both the JD and the MLS program now, who will have this credit, no credit. And so that's something that as a graduate program ourselves that we're going to have to think of in the future. So I know that we're going to look at that very holistically, and obviously be mindful that this is a challenge that everybody's facing. But also, it's not just the credit, no credit. Our faculty have been very generous and have spoken to the fact that they're willing to do a couple of things. They're first willing to sit down and go with students over student exams to make sure that students have good feedback and know, where they did well and perhaps where they have some work to do. And then also faculty have very graciously offered to write, really detailed letters of recommendations and letters to support students, and be able to say things like, this student, had he or she received a grade, would have been in the top of the class, or this student in this class demonstrated really strong writing skills or really strong competency skills. So even though grades aren't being given, I think there's a lot that faculty can do to support you. And then also, I know that Jaclyn and Dean Thompson are in a good position from the CDO. They understand what's going on. They understand why this decision was made. And so I feel really good and confident in their ability to kind of go to the mattresses for students in various regards. Anybody else have anything to add to that?
I just want to reiterate that this is a national issue, and those of us who are in admissions office throughout the spectrum, undergraduate, graduate, and professional schools, are aware that we will very shortly be looking at transcripts that may have an entire semester or possibly two dedicated to credit, no credit. I cannot speak for the university, but I would be very surprised if, one, there wouldn't be a notation made to transcripts identifying this semester or any others impacted by the COVID environment as a change in traditional grading, and to call to the attention of the file reviewer that this was a unique situation, and perhaps encouraging them to reference letters of recommendation or things like that. In regard to the doctoral program and the application process there, I'm happy to talk a little bit more about this offline and give you my perspective on it. I would say that if it's one of the doctoral programs here at the University of Utah, obviously the university knows that this is a challenge among all its students. And I think they would be very sympathetic to the circumstances of having currently a semester of credit, no credit grades noted on the transcript.
Okay, the next question is from an anonymous attendee. Will credit, no credit be an option for MLS students, and will mandatory credit, no credit be part of the summer semester? So the spring grading for the College of Law is mandatory credit, no credit. So that will be for both JD, MLS, and LLM students. And then in terms of the semester, the faculty specifically declined to make the decision about the summer semester in its faculty meeting earlier this week. The reason being, the faculty kind of wants more time to look at this policy, make sure it was the right policy if it needs to be extended. And then also just to be really thoughtful about where we are in the summer. I mean, there's always a chance that things could be better. I hope things could be better. And so if it does happen to improve, then perhaps we go back to the regular grading. But the faculty has not made a decision on the summer yet. Anybody else have anything to add to that? Okay. The next question I have is from Jessica. So Jessica says, my employer pays for part of my tuition. The agreement especially calls out for a letter grade. Getting a credit, no credit may not meet this requirement. Is it possible to still get an unofficial, official letter grade if my employer asks for it? So this is one of those, I think I mentioned earlier, there are still some issues, kind of details of this grading policy that the faculty is working through. And this is one of those issues. This is what we call shadow grades. The idea that you might get credit, no credit on your transcript, but then the faculty member could say, oh, well, you really got a B or you got an A, and could kind of tell you offhand. So the faculty is literally voting on that right now. I anticipate that we will have a decision from the faculty early next week and we'll know the answer to that. If the answer is no, that there cannot be shadow grades, I think I will put Dean Aguilar and Dean Thompson and Jaclyn on the line to say that we'll reach out and be happy to chat with your employer and chat with you, obviously keep you in that loop to think about how we might be able to best address that. I don't know if anybody else has something else to say to that. Maybe they don't want to be put on the hook for that, but.
Just the one thing that I would add is that I'm under the impression that main campus registrar, and Ethan, you probably know more about this than I would, is coming up with a way to flag on the transcripts this semester and the uniqueness of this semester. I don't know if that's with a stamp or something, but there's going to be something on there that helps to explain to employers, whether existing employers or prospective employers, the uniqueness of this semester, so that the student isn't left having to explain that. In your case, obviously, where there's a contract in place and you have specific language that asks for a letter grade, I just want to echo what Dean Kronk Warner said, and that is you can have any of these people give us a call, whether it's me, the dean, Dean Thompson, especially in career services. We would be happy to vouch for you and talk through any of these things with your employer, whether or not there's anything on the transcript itself.
Jessica,
Yeah,
I want to chime in. Go ahead, Arturo.
No, go ahead, Reyes, and I'll follow.
I was just going to say that I'm more than happy and was quite frankly planning to try and proactively move on this for you, Jessica. We are aware that there are 1 or 2 students here who have employer support that requires grades be reported. And if you could please, I'll reach out to you via email, but give me the contact information of either the HR person or the supervisor who oversees this, and I'll call them in the next week or so and let them know what's happening, just so that, one, we can start working with them and seeing if there's any documentation that we can put in place now to get ahead of this and not create a situation where we're responding to this, but rather getting them the information and letting them know we're willing to do whatever we can to ensure that we can confirm your satisfactory academic process and continue your eligibility for your program.
Perfect. And to reiterate what Dean Aguilar said, obviously, he'll be on point doing that initially. But whether it's this issue or a related issue or something unique you encounter in your particular situation, never, ever hesitate to reach out to myself or to Jaclyn. She and I are in communication every day, multiple times a day. I'm talking to employers almost every day. Both, yes, law firms, but also a lot of corporations. And I am happy, and I'm already actively informing them of these changes that are coming. So it'll be sort of anticipated in the marketplace. And hopefully, if you encounter an issue, you're going to be the norm, right? So it'll be sort of an employer who's already has some preview that this is coming and these circumstances, and it won't be a big lift for them to make a change in policy or an adjustment. And again, anything we can do, if you need me to make a call, call me. I am never shy or bashful to call anyone, and I will keep talking at them until they finally acquiesce and give us what we need. All right, thanks a lot.
Okay, so Jessica and Ethan. So first of all, Ethan in the chat box said that the university is going to put something on transcripts, but just hasn't come up with the verbiage yet. So Ethan, thank you for confirming. Jessica and Ethan in the questions and answers both asked about the summer semester grading. So the faculty is actively debating that right now, that issue, and then whether or not some awards should be given out are kind of the two details of this grading policy that they're still working through. I think they're actually voting on this right now, literally. And so I'm very much hoping that we will have that final detail in place later for the shadow grading and for the awards by early next week. And then the faculty have tabled the discussion of summer mandatory credit, no credit for the next faculty meeting, which is, I believe it's April 28th. It's at the end of April. And they wanted to take a pause on that question because they want to make sure that they're making the right decision. And they also want to see where we are as a university, as a city, and as a country before making a decision for the summer. So I anticipate a decision on summer grading by the end of the month. Anybody have anything to add to that? Okay, and obviously as soon as they make a decision, we will let you all know about that. Yvette said, I would favor a shadow grade to at least know where my efforts ended up. Thank you. Thank you. That's very, very helpful information. As I mentioned, the faculty is literally debating that right now. So thanks for letting us know. But even if the faculty decides that there will be no shadow grades, i.e. faculty can't tell you what grades you would have gotten, faculty still absolutely can still go over things with you and give you feedback. So, well, if they vote against shadow grades, that would preclude them from telling you you would have gotten an A. They can still absolutely say, you know, you did a really good job here you need some work. So regardless of what happens, I would very much encourage you to follow up with faculty to get their thoughts on that. Anybody have anything to add to that? Okay. Next, anonymous attendee asks, would there be options to sit in on MLS classes next year for the classes that went online just to get an in-class feel? And for that, maybe Dean Aguilar, you can start us off and others might want to jump in.
I have to learn to get faster on the unmute button. I think that's a great idea. And I think this is an example of the benefits of an open forum like this. I would be very receptive to the idea of being able to have students who were forced into the online system this year. And if it goes, obviously it's scheduled for the summer, to be able to sit in and observe classes. I would, off the top of my head, have to acknowledge that this would not affect a grade, that you can't sit in and hope to have a grade change with it. And it would most likely be contingent on space availability in the classroom. So this would have to be contingent on the enrollment of the MLS class for the 2020-21 school year. And we're right in the middle of the admissions process, so we don't have an idea of what that class growth is anticipated to be. And it's doubly hard to predict it because I think this COVID is on one hand, perhaps making people think about going out and retooling. On the other hand, having people say, let's just weather the whole thing through in the economy and just sit out graduate school altogether. That's one of the challenges I'm having both in the JD program as well as the MLS. But very receptive to it. And I'm going to make a note to it and we'll get back to you. It'll probably be, I want to obviously talk with the dean about this and the new director, Carolyn Clark, is coming in, about what kind of impact we would see with having the class be almost half sit-in students.
Great, thank you. Anybody else on that question? Okay. Next question is, and this one made me chuckle when I saw it. So after all of this, can I get a bump in my law school application to the S.J. Quinney College of Law? Dean Aguilar?
No, that's not. I think that's the big Dean question. Yeah, I love it, but you know, just I don't know who you are. Zanabi, you know what? You have something to talk about in the personal statement, though, in terms of this and getting a perspective. But you know, by itself, I still got to make decisions on our criteria. But this could potentially be a good item for the personal statement.
Yeah, I was going to say this semester definitely demonstrates your resiliency and your capacity for adaptation. So great things to talk about in your essay to law school. All right. Next comes from an anonymous attendee. If things calm down during summer, will classes go back into the classroom or will it absolutely be 100% online? So this is a decision that the university has already made. And so the university has decided that all classes for the summer will be online. So unfortunately, we will be online for the whole semester, but that doesn't mean that if our building, doesn't open or opens back up, or if there's an opportunity to go back to campus, we can't, think about other ways that we might have community. But unfortunately, the university has decided that we're online this summer. Anybody have anything to add to that?
I would like to add something. I think that's also a great idea. And so, for example, if the university said, all right, classes are all online, but the university is going to open again for business and buildings are available, that the decontamination has been successful and we don't have to worry about issues of social distancing, I could imagine for faculty who are still using the classroom space for taping or doing the Zoom in the classrooms, I would not be against if a student were to sit in on that taping or the Zoom class, we're not going to, we're your law school. We're not going to prohibit you from walking in a building that's open. Alternatively, also, if you guys would like to be sitting in a classroom together and it were allowed, I could envision us having a display board available for you if you all want to just sit in the classroom together. And even if it's on video because the professor's Zooming from home, at least you'll be in a classroom together and be able to either ask questions or go to lunch together or things like that. So there may be some middle ground we can work with there.
Anything else on summer? Okay. Next, an anonymous attendee asked, any ideas about graduation? So yes, this is one of the issues that we're working through. The university has canceled the in-person May graduation. So I can speak that for the actual weekend that we were going to have the May graduation, we're planning on doing something virtually. So we're looking at doing something video-wise. So I imagine if this continues on through August, that we would do something similar for your class as well in terms of the actual day of. And then we have started discussions. We also want to do something in person. I think that's really important to have that moment to celebrate together. And then of course, for you to be able to bring friends and family. I don't know when that date's going to be. Initially we were thinking August, but then we got the governor's plan that said that businesses might not be open again until September. And so we thought August was probably risky. And then we were looking at homecoming, but homecoming falls right before the vice presidential debate. So we thought that probably was not a good time because campus will be on lockdown. So we are actively discussing when we should do it and we want to do it. And it will happen, in person will happen. It's just a question of when. So if anybody has any preferences about the when, please let us know. I don't think it's possible to do anything before September just because there's so much uncertainty. But if you have any thoughts after September, again, let us know. We're actively working on that issue. Anybody have anything to add to that? Okay.
I was just going to say, we've heard from a lot of students that there's a preference for in-person graduation for sure. So we're really hopeful that that can happen. I know how much it means to so many of you.
And I love Ethan suggests that the university sent a survey and we should steal those ideas. Absolutely. So we will take a look at that. Yeah, we started that discussion and every day we initially came up with was bad for some reason. So we're just trying to find the best time for that one. But we will, I promise you, we will do something in person. I can absolutely promise that. Can Jaclyn, when she does her hair go purple? Ethan? Jaclyn, something about purple hair?
Me if I'm going to dye my hair purple.
Oh.
Because I would totally do it if I could get to the store to get some color. I'm open to all sorts of ideas at this point.
Kool-Aid.
That sounds a lot to me like an Amazon request from somebody.
I was going to say, you can get purple hair dye on Amazon.
Yeah, Arturo would be real happy about that, I think. One more thing before you guys, before everybody disperses. The law school, we're starting to do some fun activities outside of classes and just trying to get people's minds off of the craziness of everything that's going on here. So anyways, one of the things that we're doing are we're starting Tuesday night movie nights with the CDO. And so you guys can chime in on the genres you might want to watch. We do them at 8. So hopefully they, you know, if you have young kiddos, they're in bed. If not, they can watch, you know, terrifying movies with us. That would be really
To be clear, I refused to watch the last movie because it was so scary. So
yeah, she picks horror movies. We might not let her pick the movies anymore.
I've watched one horror movie.
50% of the movies so far have been horror movies.
So I will get you guys that link. Watch with us. We sit there and make fun of movies on Netflix Party. So also we're doing some trivia at the school, starting to do trivia nights. I think there's one on Disney coming up pretty soon. And then also we're trying to do some virtual like games, Cards Against Humanity or other board games that we can put together and have some fun. So keep watch for those emails. I'll make sure that they get to you.
Great.
I want to chime in with a couple of things. First is, Jessica, I saw your chat, and that the two of the aliases, I'll call them Jessica, are Lenny and Chad. Just to be clear, if any of the three of you or others in this cohort have employer reporting issues, please remember, don't hesitate, or please remember to email me. And if you could, please also copy Angela on the emails so that we can reach out to your employers. And then, at least for me, lastly, I want to thank Angela for coordinating and getting all of this together. I really was hoping that we could make this happen before the April 15th date that I know a lot of you were thinking about in regards to some of the emails from the university. So thank you, Angela.
Yeah. Oh, thank Jody instead. She was a big help.
I'll just say, Jaclyn, you have a recommendation to do a dog movie since this year has gone to the dogs.
Oh.
Just not Old Yeller.
We're doing
That's
it.
depressing.
We're gonna do it. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Because I could watch that.
Yeah, we don't need any more depression. Okay, so we've got 6 minutes left. Any more questions? We'll give you a minute here to type into the Q&A.
Well, just to fill the random dead air time, Jaclyn, if you choose Bolt, which is an animated dog movie, my cat actually watches that movie.
Oh my
Like
goodness.
its eyes never leave the screen. So I don't know what's going on there. But anyway, so that would get our vote.
She's feeling judged by the dogs, and
Yeah.
you know.
I think she's judging them actually.
She
So.
probably is.
All right, we got a question. Ethan asks, can I have a pass grade in Amos's comparative law class without writing his paper? So remember, to get credit, you still have to get above a C-. So you can't stop doing work completely.
I also want to mention that we would, in the class of 2019, revolt if you guys got a pass on that paper. That was a B. I kid. I love you guys.
Anonymous asks, can we have access to Westlaw Extended or ability to access law school services after August for the lost time? So I'll start this and then maybe Reyes will have something to answer. So Westlaw and Lexis are really strict about this in that we have really had difficulty to get anybody, any alumni, any no longer affiliated faculty, anybody at all, access to Westlaw and Lexis. They're really, really kind of hard about that lack of access. That being said, I'm more than happy to ask, but I just know that in the past, they've been really strict about that. Reyes or Angela, do you have any thoughts?
Two thoughts. First is, I'm sorry, Melissa left the participant. I saw her on there, and I it's kind of a punt, but actually in a way it's more her call as the director of the library. The contract and how that's administered is through through her office. But I think while on one hand she'd have a sympathetic ear, it would be tied to the contract. But the second thing, though, in terms of law school services, you would definitely have, and regardless of this lost time, have access to all of our services, whether it's my office and getting and feeling comfortable to ask questions about your loan repayment, to the career development office and career advice 5, 10, 15 years down the road. You know, you're in and you're part of our community for throughout your career, and don't hesitate to reach out to us once classes are over, because that's the deal we've made with you in becoming a student. You're here as your time for a student, but we're also here throughout your future so that you can get advice to us from us and how you make decisions affecting different parts of your professional lives.
And I'll just add to that, Westlaw and Lexis are particularly tricky, but you will, after you graduate, have access to Hein Online, which has a lot of the resources in PDF that Westlaw and Lexis have. So you will continue to have access to that for sure. And once you graduate, we send all of our alumni a package that says what Dean Aguilar just said, which is, here are the resources, here are how we support you. We have alumni services. You still have access to career development. You still have access to financial aid and admissions. You still have access to the library. You'll still have access to Hein Online and some other services. So when you graduate, you'll get that packet, and you absolutely will have access to some resources. It's just, like I said, Westlaw and Lexis are just particularly stingy about letting anybody have any kind of extra access. So I agree with Dean Aguilar that I'm sure Melissa Bernstein will be sympathetic. I just don't know what she'll be able to do under the contract, but that doesn't mean we won't ask. We will definitely ask and get back to you. All right, I don't see any other questions. So I'll just say it's just been a pleasure to chat with you. I'm sorry that we're not there in person. Everyone on this call is available to you. Our primary duty is to support you. We know that these are really hard times, and if you think of anything that we can do to better support you or better reach out to you, let us know. We are literally here for you, and we hope that you're okay. We hope that you stay safe. And please know that we're thinking of you, and we're trying to do our best for you. So please stay safe and well, everybody. We miss you, and hopefully we'll see you sooner rather than later. Bye.